Hey everyone, thank you for joining. We're going to be talking about how businesses can be using this technology to enable new growth, new penetration, new user adoption. Yeah, I'm happy to use this mic. Thank you very much. I have three panelists. I'm super excited to have you all here today. If I could have Waleed, Chief Strategy Officer of Gargash Group, please join me on stage. Everyone give him a nice warm applause. Thank you very much. And Naif, if you could kindly join us. He flew in this morning just from Bahrain to be here with us today. CEO and founder of EasyPay, one of the region's leading payment gateways. And last but not least, I'm assuming he didn't show up. No. Alexander Shahade from Binance, our Binance executive, is also going to be joining me up on stage today. Do you mind if I have one more chair? Sorry, guys, just for myself. One more chair. I've pulled in Alex as well. Thanks. Thank you very much. So, like I said, look, I'm here to talk today about how businesses are really adopting this new technology, right? I think at the emergence of any new technology, it's usually when the most disruption comes and the most opportunity comes. Everyone's obviously seen Web3, blockchain, crypto, and they always wonder, well, what does it mean to my business, right? Adoption is a very important point here, right? I think user adoption is great. We always see people talking about buying and selling crypto. Binance, for example, alone just announced over 49% user growth in our MENA business already. But adoption is a two-sided coin, right? I think without key business adoption and really seeing and driving utility for this space, it becomes very hard for anyone to find use for it, right? So I've asked my panelists to come up today to really talk about how their businesses are enabling this new technology. What does it really mean for them? What interesting engagements are they really driving out of it from the users that they're engaging with today? So Waleed, I'd love to start with you. Obviously, Gargash Group, everyone knows you for Mercedes partnerships, but Gargash is much bigger than that, right? You guys have 28 plus different companies under your umbrella. I'm sure you have your hands very full. What does this new technology mean to you? What are you guys enabling and seeing differently that you haven't been able to do today?
Yeah, thanks, Nadim. So we work across 28 companies. There are several industries that we operate in, and obviously technology is something that we look at very closely. Blockchain is something that we want to enable, blockchain and crypto. So I'll put those into in one basket. So there are a couple of use cases that we think that can empower the businesses. A couple of example we've done, which is our NFT series, which is the AMG Black Series NFT. So essentially, it's 12 NFTs, which is a shared ownership of a very unique car. And everybody who was bought this NFT can actually drive the car for a month. So there was a couple of examples that we've done in the beginning, and there is multiple use cases that we sort of shelved in the past, and now with the new regulation with VARA happening, we look forward for working with several entities in the government as well as Binance. We obviously have our ongoing discussions to enable those. So yeah.
So interesting. I think Project Black that you mentioned, right? The NFT shared ownership. It's quite a unique proposition, right? Being able to look at how assets, real world assets, can actually start getting more and more engaged. And I think, to me, that's one of the first key pillars of this entire space, right? It's about technology enabling you to do something that you don't do today, right? But let's focus on the other side of this, right? I think NFTs is great, Web3, blockchain technology, but there's still a critical gateway, right? Which is payments. And, I've asked Naif to come and talk a bit about how, as we enter this space, it's important that payments are facilitated, comfortable, and more importantly, safe for people to be able to engage and pay and use their cryptos in different ways. So, Naif, maybe just expand a bit about, what EasyPay has been doing and pioneering in the region.
Thank you, Nadeem, for the nice introduction. My name is Naif Al-Alawi. I am the founder, MD of EasyPay. Easy has been engaged in the payment realm since 2016. And lately, before I think 2 months, we have enabled the Binance Pay as a new method of payment. Being a person who is coming from the background of payments, today we cannot deny the fact that crypto world is there, and we need to bridge between that audience and the other side. So from the minute that we have announced EasyPay to our network, basically Easy service more than 5,000 terminals in Bahrain. Most of them are with key merchants and key locations. And from the minute that we have announced togetherly the acceptance of Binance Pay, we have been signing for the first week more than 60 to 70 merchants. And the behavior of the customer is quite phenomenal. I mean, today, any person who have Binance Pay, he can go and approach, let's say, McDonald's over our terminal, scan to pay, and that's it. And we know, and everybody knows that he can pay with his listed cryptos in the Binance app, and that's it. Now, what happens between us and the merchant from the other side is a normal settlement. So the merchant doesn't get settled with crypto. This is being because we are being regulated by the Central Bank of Bahrain. And as a matter of fact, by having this agreement with Binance, we are the first regulated financial institute in MENA region who can accept literally crypto over a terminal. That, of course, down the line, it will be also enabled for our e-commerce merchants. So today you can do app-to-app checkout using Binance. At the same thing, you can do a normal website checkout using your cryptocurrency.
Thank you. I think one thing to me that strikes that, and I think we all, and Alice, I'll be coming to you shortly to talk about this, but one of the things I love about that is in the short space of the few weeks that the business or that new technology that you've enabled has gone on, you've already seen an explosion of merchants wanting it. I think to me that shows the pent-up demand, right? That's really here, is that people want to enable this technology. People want to engage with their customers, right? And I'm very excited to see where it goes. The ability for you to help bridge that gap between the fiat traditional world and the crypto space, I think is a very powerful statement, right? And on that note, Alex, I turn to you. Obviously, as an exchange, as an infrastructure provider, what do you feel your role is when it comes to working with businesses, like payment gateways or established business as well?
So, as the largest ecosystem, it's our job to reduce the complexity. And as you say, it's very easy now with Binance Pay. You enable crypto payments, and the merchants don't need to get involved in the nitty gritty and the finer details of dealing with crypto. They understand that it's there, it's acquisition, it helps, it's an enabler, but the complexity is still there. And as an ecosystem enabler, it's our job to give industry and stakeholders tools to engage with crypto without that complexity, without needing to be sophisticated. The dealing with wallets and sending tokens, if you're an enthusiast and you've been there a long time, it's easy. But for normal people that don't need to understand that complexity and they don't need to be as sophisticated, it's our job as an ecosystem to give businesses tools to enable the adoption.
So, being, just like you say, really demystifying, taking out the complexity of it, right? Really offering to our partners and our businesses the tools that they need to drive what they want. So let's just go on that, maybe I'll come back to Naif for you first, and then Walid, I'd love to hear your comments on this. Is obviously the regulation around the space is very important, right? We're very fortunate, I think, to be here in the UAE and also MENA that drives a very strong government and a regulatory framework to enable these kind of businesses and these ideas to come up. So on that note, what do you feel we could see more of in this region, whether it's from a regulation standpoint, whether it's from a business standpoint, that's going to help drive even more adoption from merchants and from customers?
Well, I mean, Nadeem, if you go back in time, I think people are shifting gears. So usually the regulation comes after the technology, not the other way around. So what I feel is that we are on the brink of a new era of payments. You will never stop paying. You will never stop eating. You will never stop shopping. You will never stop living. So we cannot deny the fact that today, if we draw a circle and we can say that this is the entire world and this much is cash, this much is card, But guys, there's a parallel world called crypto as well, right? So people over there need to be educated, aware. We need to democratize the crypto, not just as buy and sell and commodity and yada yada yada. No, it's more than that. That's why where regulators are trying to smoothen out their let's say rigidness. They're trying to literally democratize the crypto in a way that it's a currency. We cannot deny. Today, I'm as a Bahraini. If I travel to, let's say, London, right, and I take out my wallet with my Bahraini dinars, and I try to pay something over there, they're going to tell me, excuse me, this is not accepted. But if I go there and pay with a dollar or with any sort of international currency, it's accepted. We have to understand that crypto is coming. So if I'm traveling, and I think CZ has tweeted something that Binance is sponsoring um, a trip.
Yeah, travel around the challenge.
So
Yeah,
this
that's
is your
exactly.
answer. We cannot deny a fact that crypto is as a payment, it's a method. There are people behind it. It's a big market cap, and it's coming. And my role as a payment, let's say, facilitator, acquirer, FI, whatever you want to tag me with, I have to be part of it. I need to be a pioneer. I need to educate people. And literally, speaking of which, we couldn't imagine in Bahrain that there is a proper market acquisition for crypto. In fact, every merchant wanted to say, I want to be the first, right? So this is we need to congratulate ourselves for these things, honestly. And
Thank you. And Waleed, I guess to change maybe the question a little bit more towards businesses. Obviously, Gargash is also a strategic investor, right? I mean, you guys do much more than just run a business. And so, as you're beginning to see more and more types of companies come here into the ecosystem, I guess open question is, what do you look for as as a chief strategy officer or as a strategic investor? What are the types of businesses that you think are enabling you to do more with your customers that you're considering and keeping an eye on as a company and obviously as your position?
Thanks, Nadim. So we've looked at the space. We're sort of reviewing a lot of the companies. Some of them are operating on the blockchain. Some of them are more payment enabling companies. So we've made our first investment about last year. It's a company called M Content, which is first decentralized content platform and covering overall the full value chain from production to distribution. So that was our first sort of investment in a blockchain native company. Um, what we look for, coming back to your question, Nadim, there are a couple of companies that can enable better interaction with customers, better engagements, accepting even to coming back to the point around Binance Pay. We look forward as well as Gargash Group to start accepting payments, because I think there is a big market out there that we're not catering for. We do have, and I see that often, a lot of people coming to Dubai for the first year. They don't have a bank account. They have no way to even make some payments. So, and usually they have a couple of cryptos, whether they are enthusiastic or whether they believe in the sort of the crypto that they own. But this is really a payment mechanism that allows people to actually move cross-border and sort of easy payments. And frankly, this is something that we look for at Gargash.
Thank you. I think, to summarize what I hear from both of you, I say, one, freedom of money, right? I think that's a big belief of also the ethos that we run as a company at Binance, but also the universality of this technology, right? I think they use an interesting example. I can't take my local currency and go pay in someone else's local jurisdiction. And that's kind of the benefit of this, right? It allows for cross-border and a seamless experience for users. And at the end of the day, that's really what we want. We want you to be able to take your assets, your funds, your money, and cross borders in a way that you haven't been able to today, right? That's kind of the power of this technology, especially for businesses. It takes your business to a new level, right? If you think about it, you become a global audience quite overnight from that. So I guess, maybe Alex, to turn it to you, and obviously we've heard a lot about Binance Pay, we've heard about the system, but what do you feel is, your ultimate responsibility as an exchange, as a provider of this infrastructure, not only here, but also just more wider for the region, especially as businesses come to us for education and for adoption?
Yeah, so as the largest ecosystem, there's definitely an onus on us to work with the regulators as they establish frameworks they need to engage in industry and understand what the right approach is, how is the best way of controlling the risks, because that's what the regulator wants. The regulator wants to control risks. We want to protect consumers, and we need to understand the most efficient way of doing this, because something might look like the right way of doing things, but then they understand that there's a lot of complexity that's unraveling when they try to decide to go down a certain path. So it's really important for stakeholders, regulators, businesses to sort of walk through the use cases as we go and understand that it's a different technology. There's different rules that bound these transactions, and they need to work with the ecosystem in order for everyone to benefit from the ecosystem.
Thanks very much. So two more questions, and then I think we're probably coming up closer to time. So let's go high, let's go low, right? I like doing this with some of the panels that I run. So one, let's go some blue sky thinking. You know, I really think as we project 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what do you see as engagements with your customers, your audience, your businesses, you know, obviously in different circumstances that you think may come out of this technology? Whoever wants to go first, I'd be interested to.
Um, Going back to the second part of the question, I believe a lot of let's say like-minded businesses will follow, because nobody want to be left out of this equation. It is very difficult for the first to be the first, but definitely you will have the glory of being the first, and you will adjust all the errors, and let me call it in a better English, you're going to give it the proper haircut, right? So the rest will just benefit out of the anomalies, out of the rectifications. But honestly speaking, I feel out of my guts, being in the payments since 2016 onwards, um, crypto we're gonna take not less than 50% of our daily um, payments. Why? For so many reasons. More seamless. It's more of universal payment, likely said. I don't want to add more on or shed the light over more, but definitely it will take over. Like I've said previously, people are changing the behavior of payments until the currency came up. So today we are into a more digitized method, and there's no better than the crypto element and the NFT and the blockchain and Web3. So yes, it's gonna take over rapidly.
I like it. 50% plus. I'm going to come back to you in 5 years. We're going to talk about this. Waleed, same question. You know, blue sky thinking. What kind of engagements with your customers today do you think may come out of this new technology that just weren't possible before?
Yeah. I'll answer this in two parts. First part, we work a lot on the e-commerce. Obviously, this was something new in the automotive sector. It's not as predominant as other sectors. And looking at the ease of payments within the crypto space is actually, I think, is going to be taking over a lot more of the traditional payment space. So I'm a personal believer in that. I think we're going to see a lot more businesses using crypto, maybe even doing regular transaction powered by crypto in the back end. That could be something interesting. Since there is a framework now, you're going to see a lot more innovation. It's quite hard to say where we're going to be in 5 years and 10 years, but one thing that we need to do is we really need to watch the space very, very closely. There will be an exponential growth in this space, and I'm sure there'll be innovative solution that all of us here today, we would never thought that it was possible in 5 years. So.
Great, thanks. So final question, and Alex, I'm going to put you on the hot seat with this one. So, you know, highs and lows, I say, right? So when I think about the lows, I worry about the risks, right? I worry about the risks to consumers, to businesses. So, you know, with new crypto payments, obviously means a lot more potential risk, right? So I guess, you know, turning to you, Alex, first, what do you see as the risks, and how does a company like Binance help mitigate some of those risks, especially when it comes to transactions in crypto?
So touching back on the sophistication, right? So as long as the transacting with the blockchain is complex, it's not going to engage the general populace, and it's not going to advance. People are not going to engage. People are not going to use it until it becomes seamless, until it becomes as easy as doing any other sort of payment. As soon as it becomes as easy as you just using an app on your phone without fear of you doing the wrong, making the wrong process, sending the wrong wallet. So that's what we try to do. We try to create a layer away from the blockchain. Binance allows people the opportunity to transact across chains with no complexity and no fear and at very little cost. So that's what we're trying to do. Lots of the difficulties are with sophistication, and we as an ecosystem are removing people from that difficulty.
And coming to the risk part, we'll ask all three way, but let's start with you and go down. So crypto payments, right? Everyone always, let's just demystify it for this room today. Everyone always thinks that, payments with crypto is more risk, higher fraud. One, what's your comment to that, I guess, as an exchange today?
So, I mean, the key risk is settlement risk on the blockchain, and how we stop that is within Binance Pay. It's a closed ecosystem, so you don't need to wait for extended settlements. There's no block confirmations. There's no risk of double spend. It's a safe environment for transactions. So that's how we mitigate that risk, and I think that's one of the key risks for payments.
And then I'll come to you at the end, Walid. Just thinking about risks of this technology more generally, what do you think is the biggest risk with adopting new technology and with how you engage with your customers going forward?
Yeah, so for us, the risk is really the KYC process. We need to really know our customer. We operate into a regulated environment, whether it's on central bank, on the financial services side, whether it's on ESCA. So knowing our customer is something important. We want to make sure that these transactions happen safely, and we know who's the person transacting and the sources of funds if required. So these are the major pinpoint that we see in the sector.
And before I pass it over to you, I think on that point, I think this is actually where technology like this actually plays a big part, right? I mean, there's something now called soulbound NFTs, right? NFTs that can be linked to a certain individual. And I think that's an interesting way of how this technology has evolved and adapted to actually address some of these concerns, right? Like, how do I really make sure the person paying is the person paying? Or how do I make sure the person on the other side of the computer is the person that they say they are? And this technology is what's actually enabling to do that, right? So I think extremely exciting, and I think I agree with KYC, definitely a heightened risk, but the beauty of this technology is that we're coming up with some fantastic identification solutions.
Absolutely.
As well. And last, but obviously certainly not least, Naif, what do you see, I guess, as risks for this business, whether it's for yourself or for the industry more generally?
Well, Nadeem, this is a very vast question. But since we have our EasyPay is an independent ecosystem with its own regulation and such, I could define the risk towards social engineering, I would call it. We are facing these things on daily basis when it comes to the card. The beauty about the payments is that you have to attend physically to pay. So that's why there are the dual authentication factors and so many stuff. But the comfort that we are having with Binance is that all the customers and the individuals have been KYC from Binance. So the source of fund is known. Now our duty is to make sure that the KYB part is done, that the transfer of funds. However, sitting in the middle, this is the parameters that comes. So I think and I believe by time, regulators will start to pick on us, saying that you have to set limitations, you have to set floor limits. This is where things will get more mature by time, and this is where I was telling you that definitely, as a personal belief, that crypto payment will definitely take its seats within the other areas. So risk are there, but we don't actually have the appetite to work with third-party wallets that they can aggregate all the cryptos. No, we prefer to work with regulated crypto wallet and platforms where from the other side is being scrutinized, and the same thing is from our side, and making that marriage happen is our duty basically.
That's great. So look, I think to summarize, it's been extremely interesting talking to all three of you today. Thank you very much for joining me. What I hear when I say about businesses really adopting this technology and where it goes next, I hear about, seamless experience for customers, really driving new engagements and new experiences that we have yet to see today. And whether it's through NFT usage, right, providing very dedicated and unique experiences to unique holders of those NFTs, whether it's payments, really helping drop that barrier, drop that cost, providing a more seamless experience to merchant, but also user, or more, obviously from the exchange side, right? Almost like our fiduciary responsibility to provide the safety, to provide the comfort, and to provide the tools to allow those to happen, right? So thank you all very much. Everyone, please just give them a hand. And thank you for listening to us today.
Thank you very much, Nabil. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, thank you. So we have an amazing speaker next. Brian Rose is going to join us from London Real. And then after that, we're going to talk about identity in the meta space and what's going on there. Then Arabian Prince and Scott Page from Pink Floyd are going to be performing. So you don't want to miss that. That'll be happening. I'm going to bring up Brian. Brian, are you nearby?